Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, you fantastic people, wherever you are. Welcome to Chibi Reads Reddit. I'm your host, DoomChibi99. Today's subreddit is r/entitled people. So sit back, get cozy, grab a drink, and let's read. When two braggarts try to stiff me with the restaurant bill. A year after I had moved to London, I am on a mission at a bank in Paris. As it is my birthday, I organized an evening at a restaurant with some friends that I have not seen in a while. Unfortunately, some of my colleagues overhear and decide to invite themselves. One of my childhood friends / guests is a doctor / surgeon in facial reconstruction, working for Médecins Sans Frontières. Hopefully I pronounced that okay because I haven't spoken French since I was 13, which translates to Doctors Without Borders. Oh, great charity. He is 5 years older than me, but I dated his sister for a while before she passed from an overdose. I was good to her, I tried to make her quit, so he always had a soft spot for me ever since. The traders bragged about how much money they are making. They asked him how much he earned. He told them, which is a pittance. Obviously, they laugh at him. When it's time to pay the bill, they try to stiff me with their bill, which is about way above my pay grade. Guillaume? I'm just gonna say Gil for the sake of the story, so I'm not stuck pronouncing this over and over. Gil intervenes and discreetly pays before things can turn nasty. The following day at work, the braggart jerks asked me if I feel bad for letting poor Gil pay. He said, I say no, because Gil's rich. His family is like the 5th richest family in France? God dang. He just does not give a crap about money. He lives alone in a 200-meter square hotel particulier on one of the biggest avenues in Paris. He does not need the pay from MSF. In fact, he donates back to MSF. Suddenly, they keep asking when our great pal Gil is coming because they have a great investment vehicle for him and his family. At lunchtime, Gil comes to pick me up so we can have lunch, just the two of us. I don't have a French phone number, and mobile phones are banned on the trading floor, so the receptionist used the squawk box to announce Mr. Gil last name for OP at the reception. He has a very particular, easy, recognizable family name. The boss of the braggarts hears the name and immediately recognizes it. The guy jumps in and tries to introduce himself. Gil says that after 2 of his employees have tried to stiff me on one of his best friends at a restaurant for a meal, he will definitely not be using them for his trust fund, and that, in fact, he will recommend to his father that he goes to a more ethnical bank. As we left, we could hear the boss reading the riot act to those 2 bozos. And we got a relative comment here by Chibi123. This is so well done! Thank you for putting them in their place and making it obvious that the huge business the company would have gotten is gone because of these 2 dinguses. My parents think it's funny to wake me up by having my niece shouting in my face first thing in the morning. I was in bed this morning and all of a sudden, my sister and niece come into my room, and my niece came running over to my bed and was basically yelling at me, and my natural reaction was to tell her to screw off. But I didn't realize my mother was also there, so I got told off for swearing, even though they're the ones who barged into my room in the morning. It's my mother's birthday, and unfortunately, my niece can speak English and is starting to put sentences together. So she was saying, OP, wake up! Granny's birthday! Open presents! Like over and over again. I was ignoring her, obviously, because I was half asleep, but I got told off for ignoring her as well. My mother and sister were just laughing because they thought it was cute, while I was clearly getting pissed off and just wanting them all to leave. First of all, what happened to privacy? I'm surprised my dad didn't also come in after them, because it's as if they decided to have a family gathering in my room at 10 a.m. And secondly, I didn't even get woken up on time, so I slept in by 10 minutes and therefore behind schedule for the rest of the morning. Genuinely, in what universe would someone think that having their child shout in the face of someone who's just woken up is cute or a good idea? Edit. Since everyone seems to think I expect them to wake me up for some reason, I just want to clarify that I expect my mother to wake me up, not my niece and my sister. Kid screams and yells in mental hospital waiting room. Before I tell this story, I honestly don't know who here is actually entitled. It hinges on one thing I just can't shake, and I'll explain at the end. You better. A couple years ago, I had to go to a mental hospital for depression and sewer slide. Don't worry, I'm doing a lot better now. Their waiting area was a short hallway with a few rooms on either side, with only a table and a couple of chairs per room. I was in there for what I think was over 8 hours. I had no way of checking the time. I just knew that was about 3 to 4 p.m. when I got in, and about midnight when I was brought upstairs. I thought wait times in Toronto hospitals were bad. I don't know what took them so long, but it did give me time to calm down, relax, and try to repair it mentally as best I could by myself. But something happened while I was there that will forever be burned into my memory. At one point, a teenager, I assume it was a teen based on their voice, I couldn't see to know as I was in another room, was brought in, and to say he was not happy would be an understatement. He was yelling, screaming, swearing, crying, the whole 9 yards, all claiming there was nothing wrong with him. Thankfully, he was in the right place for his behavior. Now, this is where I don't know who's actually entitled. On the surface, the kid sounded absolutely livid to be there, so throwing a tantrum would qualify him. However, I have read a couple of stories on these kind of subreddits about terrible parents who want absolute control and attempt to get their kids mentally evaluated to get them in line, or just remove the problem. If that was the case, and I just happened to see the back end of it, of that scenario, I do hope that the parents got what they deserved. Either way, I still hope that kid is doing better now. We have a top comment here by OMGWTF45. You are a nice person and I sincerely applaud your graciousness. I'm glad you're doing well. There's no way to parse this one, but because it was sight unseen. I hope that kid made a good recovery, whether it's from bad parenting or bad mental health. Either way, you keep shining bright and being a positive force on Earth. Large Strawberry replies seconded, and I say thirded. Entitled sister tries to bribe her way into my wedding. So, an update to my post a good long time ago. For those who haven't read my filled rant about my so-called sister, the TLDR is that she is responsible for 99% of all the problems my family has had. From stealing everything that isn't nailed down, to bringing groups of people to the house to attack us, and many more things. But anyway, here we go. A few months ago, my mother came to my home to deliver some mail on my day off from work, and we got chatting about wedding plans for next year. And after bouncing a few ideas off her and getting some pushback on the child-free aspect of the wedding, she brought up my sister. Now, I am probably the only member of my family besides my mother who is ever going to get married. As such, she wants all of her kids to be together. For it, my brothers are coming and will probably be my groomsmen. She asked my fiancé if my sister could be a bridesmaid, to which I cut in and say no. A hard no. I said that under no circumstances would I allow that thing near my fiancé, let alone the wedding. My mother didn't take this well. I haven't really stood up to her before, as I have always been a shy person, thanks to my fiancé for giving me a spine, lol. And while she didn't start shouting or anything like that, she did put on the puppy dog eyes and briefly try to convince me. I said no. And that wasn't going to continue talking about it. And for a few weeks, all I would get is passing comments that I would always shut down. I would always reiterate that I want nothing to do with her, and that as far as I was concerned, I didn't have a sister. This seemed to hurt my mother, as her only wish in life is to have all her kids get along. One of those. But then the gifts started arriving. First, it was just some small trinkets that I would leave at my mother's accidentally, and then it moved to food and things like that. My mother said it was gifted to me by my sister. The last thing I received was a cigar worth about 50 pounds in a metal tube and a cigarette cutter to go with it. Okay, so we're in the UK then. My mother commented, "See, she's changed, and obviously thinking about you. Would it be such a bad thing to forgive her and to let her come to the wedding? You don't have to make her a bridesmaid, but she can still attend." Now, this resulted in me again putting my foot down. And after 10 minutes of her trying to convince me, I shouted at her again. I didn't want that lying, thieving, "see you next Tuesday" in my life. And I stormed out. After that, the gifts stopped, and my mother hasn't mentioned her since. This one isn't as juicy as the last one, I know, but I thought I'd update the story as it is now. Thanks again for all the support on the last post, guys and girls. Love you all. Entitled teacher gets mad at my disabilities. First of all, excuse me for any spelling mistakes and bad English. I'm extremely sick and English isn't my first language, and I have dyslexia. And I have a hard time writing coherent stories. So for context, I'm a 17-year-old female, so 7, but my class is mostly 8 students. I'm autistic and have extreme sensory issues, and I have informed the school about my disabilities. I also had a really traumatic childhood, so I'm sorry I don't know the correct term, traumatic amnesia. So I don't remember a lot of my childhood. This is important for the story later on. I had heard some horror stories about our Finnish language teacher, but I like to think that the people who talk crap about teachers are just over-exaggerating the stories. Oh, I was wrong. I walk into my class 20 minutes early because I like to be early in my new classes to pick a good place to sit and just chill. And because it was a new teacher, to me, I wanted to give a good first impression. My friends came and sit at the same tables as I am sitting. And one of my friends, I'm going to call them friend 1. So friend 1 has a bread with him, with him in the class because he's a growing teen and needs food, and the food that day wasn't that good. Most teachers are cool with it in normal classes. This teacher gets mad about it. Red flag number 1. I give the teacher a little bit of a what the flip face. After the name call and a little bit of getting to know the students in this class, the teacher gives us an assignment. It's to write a timeline about our childhood to the current time. My friends can probably see me go a little pale from the mentioning about the fact that I need to recall my childhood memories. But I try to do the assignment. I start by writing my birthday, date, month, day, 2007. And the teacher says, "You got your birthday wrong." And I bluntly say, "I'm sorry, but I think I know my birthday better than a person who I just met under 30 minutes ago." She walks off and I do my thing, and she gives more instructions, and I try to remember stuff from my childhood, and then I notice that friend 1 has made their paper super cool looking with little drawings and stuff. And I say a bit loudly because I really can't regulate the volume with my voice due to my autism, "What the frick? Yours looks so much cooler than mine!" The teacher walks next to me and say, "Okay, can you take your headphones off while in my classroom because it's making you talk really loudly?" I start to get a bit anxious because I have been bullied about my sometimes annoyingly loud voice. I hate writing, stuttering, but I have to for the sake of the story. "I'm sorry, I really can't regulate the tone." I get cut off by the teacher. "And you have hardly written anything on your paper. I think that you aren't some are slurred. That's so you can remember even something about your childhood. Red flag number 2. I reply, I'm sorry, but I really can't remember anything about my childhood for reasons that I don't want to share with you. I started to get a little teary-eyed and noticed that if I don't get anything to soothe me right now, I'm going to have a meltdown in the middle of the class. And I keep a bar of dark chocolate in my bag to take a small bite of when I feel anxious. But when I try to take even the bar out of my bag, the teacher yells, I said there's no eating in my classroom, and take those headphones off right now, or you will be sent outside the class and get an absent marking. At this point, I and my friends have had enough, so friend 2 says, or almost like shouts, can't you see that she is almost having a panic attack from you scolding her for stupid reasons? Those headphones aren't even connected to her phone, and they are in her ears because she has very sensitive hearing, and you shouting at her isn't making it any better. And matter of fact, I think she will kindly go outside and get the stupid marking if it means you will stop being mean to her for no reason at all. And you know what? I'll go with her, because you have actually caused her to have a meltdown because of your ableist behavior. I look at my hands and try to find something to fiddle with while rocking back and forth, and at this point, I'm actually having a meltdown. And for me, I go nonverbal when having a meltdown. Oh, P, so do you want to go outside the class to have your little temper tantrum? Answer me and look me in the eye when I'm talking to you. At this point, friend 1 and 2 others of my friends take my stuff and wake me from my trance? I think they meant to spell it Trance. Again, dyslexia. I know, my sister has it. And take my hand and lead me to the hallway, and from there, the students' hangout room that has sofas, and we can hear the teacher slam the door. The rest of the story is what I heard from my other friends. So after we left, the teacher says, so that is not how I want you guys to act like. I thought that at this age, you guys should know how to act in class. Friend 4, she is autistic, for God's sake. The teacher replies, I don't care if you're Santa Claus or Alexander Stubb. You can't act like children in my class and be disrespectful towards me. A random classmate in the back, she wasn't being disrespectful. She was just behaving just fine. You're the one who made a big fuss about her having headphones on and literally just existing. I saw her wrist, so maybe she tried not to exist at one point? She giggles. The rest of the story was not told to me because she apparently said some really bad things about me, and yes, she was put on leave for her actions. I hope this story was a bit understandable. It was, OP, don't worry about it. Edit. I am an alternative girly, and I have a resting bee face, and my tone of voice can be understood as more of a sarcastic tone. But if you would know me better, I'm one of the kindest people you would ever meet. And most of my teachers will say that I'm very positive and a very funny person in class. But my looks should not be a reason to give me bad treatment. Ugh, poor OP. I had a crazy math teacher like this. We also have a relevant comment here with some advice from Green Vase Line Sloth. Report that teacher to whoever you can think of. You have a lot of supportive friends and witnesses. This is absolutely unacceptable. The counselor, the principal, and probably some other people outside of school, like a local disability rights organization, maybe even the local news would be able to help you put the pressure on the school to get that awful person out of being able to have whatever contact with teens. Looks like we've reached the end of today's video, but fret not, I'll be back tomorrow with more Reddit stories just for you. Want to get notified of the next video? Tap that bell icon. Want to subscribe? Tap that button. It's completely free. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and until next time, catch you later, my Chibi Dominators.